Welcome to this explainer, folks. Today we're stepping right into the laboratory for what I like to call a cinematic masterclass, presented by yours truly, your enthusiastic guide and resident Dr. Chem. We are going to uncover the hidden secrets of high-sensitivity electrochemical analysis. We're talking about techniques that let us literally peer into the molecular world and detect things that are completely invisible to the naked eye. If you've ever wondered how scientists guarantee the absolute purity of your drinking water or the exact perfect dosage of a life-saving drug, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's just dive right in by establishing our ultimate goal here. We're trying to answer a massive question. How do we measure the invisible? We are talking about detecting trace elements down to 10 nanomolar concentrations. To put that into perspective, that's kind of like trying to hear a single whisper in a packed, screaming stadium. The challenge isn't just that the signal is incredibly faint, it's that the background noise is absolutely deafening. So our mission today is to figure out the brilliant techniques scientists have developed to filter out all that noise and amplify that tiny, crucial whisper.
Now our journey actually starts nearly a century ago. Back in 1922, Professor Hyrovsky invented polarography using a dropping mercury electrode, a breakthrough so monumental it literally won him a Nobel Prize. The constantly renewing surface of that mercury drop was fantastic for analysis. But, as we all know today, mercury is highly hazardous. With modern RoHS regulations restricting its use, electrochemists had to adapt. We evolved. We moved away from liquid mercury and transitioned over to solid electrodes. But those solid electrodes brought their own set of challenges with background noise, forcing early scientists to face an invisible enemy.
Act 1. The invisible enemy.
To really appreciate these modern pulse techniques, we first have to understand what exactly they're fighting against. The fundamental conflict happening right at the surface of the electrode is this epic battle between two currents, Faradaic and capacitive. The Faradaic current is our hero, right? This is the valuable signal representing actual electron transfer, the very chemical reactions we are trying to measure. Now, on the other side, we have the capacitive current. This is the distracting background noise caused by the charging of the electrical double layer at the electrode surface. It doesn't tell us a thing about our chemical, it just gets in the way. But here's the critical weakness of our enemy. While the Faradaic signal decreases slowly over time, the capacitive current decreases exponentially rapidly.
Act 2. The art of the pulse. So how did scientists actually outsmart this capacitive noise using that difference in timing? Well, they mastered the art of the pulse. This quote straight from our source material reveals the magic trick. It discriminates against charging current by delaying the current measurement to the end of the pulse. Think of it like this. When you apply a voltage, you kick up a massive cloud of capacitive dust. If you try to measure right away, all you see is dust. But because capacitive current dies out so much faster than Faradaic current, if you just wait a few milliseconds, if you delay your measurement to the very end of the pulse, the dust completely settles, and you can clearly see the pure Faradaic signal that's left behind.
And that brilliantly brings us to our three heavyweight champions of sensitivity, each utilizing unique pulse waveforms to isolate that crucial signal. Whether we're talking about differential pulse, normal pulse, or square wave voltammetry, notice how none of them are just simple, flat lines. They all use highly calculated variations of stepping, pulsing, and waiting. These are the cinematic waveforms that have totally revolutionized modern chemical analysis.
Act 3. The heavyweight champions.
Let's step into the ring and break down the distinct mechanics and analytical powers of each of these techniques, starting with the oldest. We begin with Normal Pulse Voltammetry, or NPV. This is the classic, robust foundation that directly evolved from early polarography. In NPV, you apply successive voltage steps of increasing height, always starting from a base potential where absolutely no reaction occurs. The key, as we just learned, is that you hold that step for maybe 50 milliseconds and you only sample the current at the very end. It's a fantastic, reliable way to maximize the Faradaic current while minimizing the noise.
Building right on top of that robust foundation, we get Differential Pulse Voltammetry, or DPV. Now, instead of always starting from a base zero, DPV is a much more sensitive, precise instrument that superimposes a short pulse, usually around 10 to 100 millivolts, onto a gradually increasing staircase sweep. It's kind of like climbing a set of stairs, and on every single step, you do a tiny little jump.
So, the real genius here is this elegant three-step sampling process. DPV doesn't just measure once, it measures twice per cycle. Step 1, you measure the base current right before you apply the pulse. Step 2, you apply the pulse, wait for the capacitive dust to settle, and measure the pulse current at the very end. Step 3, you mathematically subtract the first measurement from the second. By calculating this exact difference, you're effectively subtracting the remaining background noise out of the equation entirely.
Because we are plotting that subtracted difference, the resulting data doesn't just look like some messy wave, it yields a pristine, beautifully defined peak. This peak shape is an absolute game changer. It gives researchers incredible selectivity. I mean, imagine you have a sample with two different chemicals that react at very similar voltages. Standard techniques would just blur them together into one big blob, but DPV's sharp peaks allow you to discriminate between species with oxidation potentials as close as 50 millivolts apart. It is, quite literally, high-definition chemistry.
But listen, if DPV is the precise surgeon of the group, Square Wave Voltammetry is absolutely the speed demon. SVV combines a large amplitude square wave with a staircase sweep. It steps up, then pulses high, then immediately pulses low, before stepping up again. It is an aggressive, incredible fast sequence of forward and reverse pulses.
Since SWV actually takes measurements on both the forward and the reverse halves of that square wave pulse, the net current is the difference between the two. This allows for massive signal increases, up to 4 times higher response than DPV for reversible systems, and because the frequency of these cycles can be up to 100 Hz, the sweep rates are insanely fast, up to 1 volt per second. What takes DPV minutes to analyze, Square Wave Voltammetry finishes in a blistering 1 to 5 seconds, all while maintaining completely exceptional limits of detection.
When you lay out this technological progression we've been discussing, NPV basically sets our baseline. DPV takes us a massive step further, offering twice the sensitivity and that gorgeous peak resolution. But it still takes a few minutes to run a scan. And then there's SWV, scanning hundreds of times faster, completing in mere seconds, and delivering 4 times the sensitivity of DPV. It truly stands as the crown jewel of modern electroanalysis.
Act 4, Real-World Impact.
Okay, so we've completely geeked out over waveforms and mathematically subtracting capacitive currents. But why does this microscopic battle actually matter to you and me outside the laboratory? The reality is, these techniques are the silent guardians of our modern world. When an environmental agency needs to detect toxic heavy metal pollutants, like lead or cadmium, in our drinking water or soil at parts per billion levels, they rely on differential pulse voltammetry. When a pharma company needs to perfectly quantify the active ingredients in a life-saving medication to guarantee you get the exact right dose, they turn to Square Wave Voltammetry. They're also totally fundamental in modern biosensors and studying really complex DNA interactions.
It honestly all comes back to this one incredible number, 10 nanomolar. Because we figured out how to manipulate voltage pulses, because we learned to just wait those few crucial milliseconds for the background noise to fade, we can now reliably detect and quantify chemical compounds down to astonishing 10 nanomolar limits. We have effectively given scientists a molecular microscope powered purely by electricity.
I want to leave you with this final thought. We've gone from dropping hazardous liquid mercury in the 1920s to executing microsecond computational voltage sweeps on solid electrodes today. As our ability to see the unseen through these cinematic waveforms continues to grow, our diagnostic tools, our environmental safeguards, and our fundamental understanding of biology will only become more profound. The boundaries of what we can discover in electrochemistry are truly limitless. So what previously invisible mystery do you think we'll uncover next? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.